Cassie, guess who belongs in here instead? Ray Kiriyama from March Comes in Like a Lion.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say anything, but yeah, my sweet sunshine child deserves to be here, and he's not. Yeah. And I'll go out and say he is a better best boy than Izuku is.
Woof! Get on that soapbox, girl. Stand on it.
きっと約束だよいつかまた同じ笑顔で
Welcome, everyone, to episode 98 of the Annie Chat Box. I'm here as your host, and my name is Dominic. Sitting next to me is Cassie, our producer.
I get a real introduction and a real title this episode.
You get to say something this time.
I'm so excited. Also, I'd like to put it on the record that even though Dominic is helping me out today, they are the host on an episode of an anime that isn't a quote-unquote joke/bad anime. So, congratulations, you've moved up in the world.
Yeah, I've finally become a real host.
Congratulations on your Alicization.
Congratulations.
Oh, no. Not yet. Not yet.
God, I can't wait for that episode. It's going to be fun.
God. And across the continent, we have Cammy.
Hello there, everybody.
Oh.
And on the other side of the world, across the ocean, we have John.
I see. Hello.
Good one.
And you can reach all of us at our social links. We have a Twitter, twitter.com/AnnieChatbox. Or you can send us an email at anniechatmail@gmail.com. You can listen to all of our episodes on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, and YouTube. In addition to this, we also have a Patreon at patreon.com/AnnieChatbox. And shoutouts to our current patrons, Sarah, CorpsyAnn, Carol, Suki, and Paul. And in addition to this, if you also like podcasts like ours, we have our sister podcast.
Hey!
Believe how much I missed you.
Yes.
Save Our Progress, which you can find at soundcloud.com/saveourprogress. It's a lot of talking. Save Our Progress. SoundCloud.com/saveourprogress. There you go.
At first I heard save our crass.
Our crass. Oh.
Save our ass.
Talking is hard. Craig, who is not currently with us, is one of the main hosts on that podcast, as always. And so, moving on to our main topic for the day, we wanted to talk about the Crunchyroll Anime Awards nominations.
Woohoo.
And just sort of go through each one and give our personal opinions of what we think should win and maybe have a little bit of discussion on the side.
Mm-hmm.
So,
let's get rolling, I suppose.
The first one is Best Animation, and the nominees are My Hero Academia Season 3 from Bones, Devilman Crybaby by Science Saru, Bloomin' to You from Troika, Megalobox from TMS Entertainment and 3X Cube, A Place Further Than the Universe from Madhouse, and Violet Evergarden from Kyoto Animation.
So this one's just really interesting for me because I feel like Devilman and Megalobox are very notable just for the sake of that they're so stylistic, you know? I feel like compared to the rest of the nominees, they really pack their own like original punch and sense of style that to me almost makes me want to root for them, but I feel like maybe Devilman would win. I don't feel like Megalobox though probably got enough clout, you know?
Megalobox like it had this nice style to it, but the style was also like weirdly done in that they like intentionally made things like lower quality than
Yeah.
it really had to be in order to like sort of hit that sort of aesthetic. And this is just my personal opinion, but I also felt that a good way in like after the initial like impressive like first few fights, nothing else really kind of matched up to that.
Yeah.
So at least in my personal opinion, I would not go for Megalobox. I would definitely pick Devilman over it.
Would that be your pick amongst all of them?
I haven't seen My Hero Academia. I haven't seen much of. I mean, Violet Evergarden. What little I did watch was very pretty. So it'd either be that or Devilman. Yeah.
I think that this category is probably the best one, to be honest, because I like all the other categories, but I feel like this one is where like all of them really deserve to be here, and I can't really say that anybody is particularly wrong.
Yeah.
Though I will say I was kind of confused on why My Hero Academia was here, because I do think that this was a good season. It wasn't horribly animated, but like compared to previous seasons, like there was nothing in season 3 that really stood out for me, especially in comparison to all these other shows. So I feel like everything else I feel has a pretty good running chance, but My Hero Academia, just I'm confused on why it's here.
I agree.
I guess.
Especially if you look at like and we'll scroll down and see. I can't remember if there's like a best art category, but I'm also like, you know, we could have put like After the Rain in place of like you know, My Hero or something that again had more of like a sense of style to it and like artistic intention, I guess. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, outside of My Hero, kind of like you said, I'd be pretty okay if any of these won it, honestly.
Yeah.
I think that I voted one time and gave it to A Place Further Than the Universe because I'm completely biased in every single way. And then I voted again and gave it to Devilman.
Nice. I did vote on all the categories. I can't remember. I think I either gave it to Place Further or Violet Evergarden because I love both of them. So, did you vote, John?
I did vote on most of the categories. There was a couple of categories I didn't vote on because I wasn't familiar. Well, I hadn't watched any of the nominees, so I was like, I don't have an opinion on this, so I can't vote. So I didn't.
Gotcha.
This one I did vote for, but I'm actually not sure which one I voted for. I either voted for A Place Further or Blooming to You, because I hadn't actually seen Devilman or Megalobox.
Yeah.
Like the three that I have seen are My Hero Academia, Blooming to You, and A Place Further Than the Universe, and I was like, these two are very pretty, so
Nice.
So I voted for one of those two.
And then, yeah, I think we could go to the next one probably, which... Interesting. Ooh.
The next one is best opening sequence. And we've got Kiss of Death from Darling in the Franxx. And then we've got Fighting Gold from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Wind. Deal with the Devil from Kakegurui. The Agretzko theme from Agretzko.
Yeah.
Pop Team Epic from Pop Team Epic. And Fiction from Wotakoi.
I just think that it's mildly cheating that Kakegurui is in here. I know that technically it was available to a Western audience in 2018, but
I agree.
that made me do a double take, and I was like,
Yeah,
that's
I was like,
not
is that
really...
the... For a moment, I was like, wait, was that the new season? No, but... Because
No.
I remember watching that in 2017.
I think that threw me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
Like,
It's because it became available on Netflix in 2018.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I know why it's there, but I still think it's cheating that it's there.
yeah, I wouldn't be happy if it won. Also, I don't think it's gonna win, but like, why the fuck did they put Agretzko's theme in there? Like, do not get me wrong, it's a good theme, but like, it doesn't have an opening sequence. They literally just play it for like 20 seconds at the start of every episode, like after she screams. Like,
Yeah.
and we had so many good openings this year, and I'm like, it didn't need a place here to me.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that both of those shouldn't be there, to be
Yeah.
completely honest.
Yeah.
But with the ones that are left,
Mm.
Yeah, it's... For me, it's... this is slightly my bias. It's a toss-up between JoJo and Pop Team Epic.
Ooh.
A lot of people don't like Fighting Gold. I've heard a lot of people like really trash on that opening, especially considering the artist that it's by did one of the most popular JoJo openings.
Oh.
I personally love it. I also really like the opening animation. I just think it's super cool. And I sing it like every time we watch an episode, which we haven't done in a really long time. I need to get back to that show.
That's awesome.
But if I'm being subjective, Pop Team Epic. Or not subjective, if I'm being objective,
Yes.
Pop Team Epic. Yeah. Because that opening is too good.
It's just bombastic. Like, that opening on so many levels is just so insane and so great. And
yeah.
as much as, like, for me, subjectively, my bias goes to Wotakoi, which I would be really happy if it won. But, like, if Pop Team Epic wins, I'm not going to complain. I'll still be very happy with that.
Yeah.
I voted for Fiction.
Yeah! Yeah, girl!
Because I liked that opening. I
It's a
sing
good
it
opening.
every time, and just like I just loved everything about that opening. Now, if it said specifically "Darling in the Franxx" remix version for the second half, then I may have voted for that one because I also thought that one had a stronger second opening, which was the exact same song. But I didn't really like the first version of it. So, but yeah, I agree. Pop Team Epic is also really good.
Yeah.
What about you, John?
I also voted for Fiction, despite
Bless.
the fact that I
Yes!
haven't actually watched Wotakoi.
Fucking
But I
team
have
out
seen
here.
the opening. But I also really love the Pop Team Epic opening. And I agree. I don't think Kakaguri should have been on this list.
Yeah. With regards to the Darling and the Franxx one, I've only briefly looked at it. But Cassie, does the song change at all in the two versions of it, or is it just the animation that changes?
It changes.
It's-
Like the sound is kind of like remixed, kind of ish.
Oh.
It's
Yeah, I think it's also
I
like
believe
a
it's
different
like
verse.
Second half of the song, I believe.
Yeah.
It just sounds better, in addition to looking better. Because
Yeah.
It does look better, yeah.
Because the first, in my opinion, the first opening of Darling in the Franxx, in addition to the song being kind of underwhelming for me personally, I guess I like it later in the actual song, but it also was this puke red color and it never grew on me,
Yeah, it looks gross.
whereas the second opening is more aesthetically pleasing and also is a different part of the song, so.
I think I've seen the second opening. Doesn't it have like blues and pinks and they're like
Yeah, it's
underwater or
blues.
something?
Yep,
Yeah.
that's the second
Yeah.
one. And lots
Yeah,
of
that was
hand
pretty.
reaching.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of hand reaching and they had a lot of fun with it.
Nice.
Um,
I would agree to that.
I'm really salty about this next category.
Oh. Ooh, why? I'm curious now.
I'll say why when we get there.
Okay.
But so the next category is best ending sequence, with Star Overhead for FLCL Alternative, Fly Me to the Star from Revue Starlight, Akatsuki no Requiem from Attack on Titan Season 3, Ref Rain from After the Rain, Spiky Seeds from also FLC. FLCL Progressive. Wow. And Kakata Koyo from Megalobox.
Cassie, give me that hot tea.
Yeah.
Here's my salt. I gave it to Refrain or Refrain After the Rain when I voted because I hadn't seen all of Revue Starlight and saw the like brilliance that is that ED and how it changes each time and how and I can't go back and change my vote.
You fucked up.
I know. I'm so salty. I'm also salty that there's two FLCL
Yeah,
pillow
that
songs
was
in
yeah,
I
there,
didn't
but
I didn't notice that until I was reading it. It was like, oh, that's
Me
stupid.
either.
I was frustrated when I saw that before too, but I was just like, whatever. They're technically two different songs and definitely two different series, but it's the same fucking band. Like, whatever. But
I
yeah.
mean, the pillows are pretty good. Or at least they used to be. I haven't listened to these new songs.
They are really good, but why do they deserve two spots?
That's true.
Like, shouldn't they have like picked one of them and then gave that spot to another band and another ED and another show? Anyway, I would have picked Revue Starlight hands down if I could do this over.
I do think, especially when taking into mind, which I did with the openings as well, I love it again when you can have the combination of the visuals and the song like working so well together. And there are a lot of these where I'm like, oh, the songs are really good. Visuals are okay. Case in point, Megalobox, because I fucking love that song, but
Yeah,
it's just,
song's
like
so good.
scrolling neon sign lights, which is, it's okay. And then Refrain, beautiful song. The visuals are okay, what they do with it, but it's kind of minimalist. Like, the brilliance of the visuals, not on top of the way that Revue Starlight executes its ending, is just the best. I can't speak for the other ones, but, and again, I don't even know what I voted for here, but I would probably also take it back and give a vote to Revue Starlight.
Yeah, I've only seen Revue Starlights and Megalobox's EDs, and I pretty much agree with what Cammy just said. Like, I love the Megalobox song, but the Revue Starlight ED just is too good on so many other levels.
There's too many layers. I don't know what to do with it.
This was a category I skipped on because at the time I hadn't seen any of these, but now I know what I would have voted for had I seen it in time.
You have your pick. You can still do it, John. Fight for our mistakes.
Alright, I will fix it as soon as I can. As soon as I've done. Yeah, I will vote for Revue Starlight.
And next up we have Best Film. Which, for me, this is not good, but...
Obviously, Fireworks.
Oh, totally, yeah. We have Fireworks by Shaft, which I have seen. It's the only one on here I've seen.
Oh, no.
And then we have Liz and the Blue Bird by Kyoto Animation, which I hear is pretty good. A lot of people have hyped that one up. My Hero Academia 2 Heroes from Bones. Mazinger Z Infinity from Toei Animation, which I wish I had seen. So I'm just gonna give it to that because it's Mazinger, but Mirai from Studio Chizu, Night is Short, Walk On Girl, Science Saru.
Yeah.
God, you see, the thing that sucks is I want to see Liz and the Bluebird, and I do want to see Night is Short, Walk On Girl, and I think that either one of those would have been my pick if I'd seen them yet, but I just ended up picking, I think, the My Hero Academia movie because I couldn't give it to Fireworks. And I just sat there for a million years wondering why Fireworks got that place and Makuya didn't. And I just got even angrier the longer I sat there, so I just picked one and moved on.
I heard a lot of salt about Makuya missing this nomination.
Yeah, I'm a little pissed off. Like, that movie wasn't perfect, but it's, like, a million times better than Fireworks will ever be.
Fireworks is doo-doo.
So, I've heard. So
eloquent, honey.
I mean, that's what I'm here for.
John, what are your thoughts? And Cammy, what are your thoughts? I think I kind of know where Cammy went.
Yeah, like, I love The Night is Short, Walk On Girl. It's the only one of these that I have seen. I do want to see Mirai. I want to see Liz and the Bluebird. I've heard people just, like, not to go back to doo-doo, but I've heard people shit their pants about Liz and the Bluebird and how good it is, so I need to see it.
I'm gonna watch it. I have it. I just need to watch it, so.
Oh, ooh.
I've heard good things.
Maybe we could watch it together. But yeah.
Perhaps. Maybe we could all just have an Annie Chatbox viewing of Liz and the Bluebird. But
that'll be fun.
Yeah. But yeah, I voted for Walk On Girl. Is very good.
How about you, John?
This is another category I skipped because I have not seen any of these movies. I want to see them.
Don't watch Fireworks, though.
Don't watch Fireworks.
I was about to say, at this point, I actually want to watch all of them except for Fireworks.
There you go.
I mean, you can edit with Fireworks. It's one of those movies that you could edit with because it has a lot of really pretty scenes, but dear God, like, you do not need to subject yourself to sitting through that. We paid the price of admission to go see Fireworks.
We paid to see this
and
movie.
I felt bad. Like, we got out of that movie and I felt bad because I was like, I'm sorry you had to come and watch this terrible movie with me.
No.
But, I mean, if anything, it's good for kind of conversation on what is good in a film, what isn't good in a film, and when Shaft really needs to stop being shafty.
Yeah.
But anyway, this isn't a review of Fireworks, but maybe one day.
Okay, so some folks could probably make up half the price of admission for a blog post that seethingly talks about why Fireworks is bad.
Yeah. And next up we have Best Character Design. The nominees are Agretzko, Violet Evergarden, Megalobox, Devilman Crybaby, Zombieland Saga, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Win. So, I mean, yeah, sorry, everything else. It's just, if you throw a JoJo in there, it's like, I can't not pick it. With character, I can't not pick that. Even if everything else is pretty good, like, sorry.
If I remember correctly, I wanted to vote for Zombieland Saga, but then Get went on this brief tirade about how JoJo's just so always constantly great about character design, and I was like, I don't know, I'm just feeling the objective guilt, so I voted for JoJo.
It's okay. I voted for Zombieland Saga.
Yes!
There you go.
I'm
Yes.
pretty sure I also voted Zombieland Saga.
I mean, I was torn between it and Devilman Crybaby just because, like, everything about Devilman Crybaby is just so different, including its character designs and how they move, and the animation is a completely different thing. But, like, everything about Devilman is so unique, and so is JoJo. Like, there's nothing that looks like JoJo. I can name, like, 6 different things that maybe look like Zombieland Saga.
Yeah.
Except they aren't zombies. So there you go. Zombieland Saga wins because I found their designs pleasant. And I thought it was really cool that they took multiple different inspirations from different kinds of quote-unquote girl stereotypes and made them very unique in their zombie forms.
That's fair. If I had to give it to a runner-up, it would be Zombieland Saga, but I mean...
I'm just getting on my soapbox here for a minute so I can defend myself when people are just like, Cassie, but if you take away the zombiness, then these girls look like every other, cute, wide-eyed girl that's ever been created. And I'm like, well, you bet your sweet bippy maybe they do, but they don't.
Well, and they're just so, I just love how vibrantly colorful they all are, like you can, there are some idol shows where you can have a hard time, like, making, or, like, distinctifying, like, in between some of the girls, but, like, every girl in Franchuchu is so, unique and vibrant and has, like, their own style. So I think that's pretty noteworthy. Yeah. John, did you vote on this one?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I voted Zombieland Saga by default because it's, again, the only one here that I've actually seen.
High five.
Yay. But I do feel it does deserve to be here because... you can argue, but if they weren't zombies, they shouldn't be here. They wouldn't be here. And yeah, but they are.
Yeah.
So it is part of their character design, and especially when they are in zombie mode, and the fact that you get those moments where they are like hyper realistic, you can see the decay on their faces. Those moments are a part of the series and part of their character's design. So, yeah. Zombieland Saga.
So next up we've got Best Boy. And the nominees are Honda-san from Skull-Face bookseller Honda-san. We have Haida from Agretzko. Joe from Megalobox. Sakura Azusagawa from Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. Kotaro Tatsumi from Zombieland Saga, and Izuku Midoriya from My Hero Academia Season 3.
So, I love you, Deku, but get the fuck out of these categories already. Like...
I agree, he's already won!
Yeah, get out!
Like, leave!
Yeah.
Like, I love Izuku, I think that he's a great character, but, like, I feel like they feel like they need to find a way, if they can, to insert My Hero Academia into any category that they can.
Yeah.
And we already had that last year. Can we just move... anyway. Yeah, I agree with you, Cammy.
At least My Hero Academia isn't in as many categories this year.
I don't care. They shouldn't be in any of these categories.
Hey.
They swept last year. That'd be like if they tried to find a... That's like if, Yuri on Ice had another season, like, last year. I'd be like, I love you, Yuri on Ice, but could you just leave us alone?
Also... Cassie, guess who belongs in here instead? Ray Kiriyama from March Comes in Like a Lion.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say anything, but my sweet sunshine child deserves to be here, and he's not. Yeah. And I'll go out and say he is a better best boy than Izuku is.
Woof! Get on that soapbox, girl. Stand on it.
I voted for Haida.
Good choice. I love Haida.
I would vote for Kotaro. That's who I would vote for.
I couldn't vote for Kotaro because he's not like a nice person.
I mean, I don't care. I don't give a shit. He makes me laugh.
That's fine. You know, Best Boy is different for everybody. Best Boy to me is like, wow, I want to put this person on a pedestal because they're just so good of a person and a human being. But that's not Best Boy to everyone. Yeah. So thank God that they made it so varying this year. You know, you do that.
Honey. I will. I did. I did. Well, actually, I didn't. I didn't vote in this. I had no idea this existed until just now. But if I did vote in this, it would have been Kotaro.
Can I make a guess on yours, Cammy?
Sure.
Did you vote for Honda-san?
I did vote for Honda-san. How could you guess? I think I even shared on Twitter that I voted for him.
No. I may have missed it, but I'm just saying.
Oh,
it
you
wasn't
know.
Completely obvious.
You know, I love my good skeleton boy.
What about you, John?
I'm pretty sure I also voted Honda-san.
Oh my god, yes.
Despite the fact that I haven't actually watched anything of it beyond like the random clips that show up on my Twitter feed every so often.
You're going to be on that episode, right?
I am going to be on that episode.
Okay.
I am going to watch it. I just haven't
right.
yet. A part of me was tempted to vote Kotaro and was like, I like him as a character, but he's not Best Boy.
Yeah. If Honda-san was not on there, though, Cassie, I would have been with you. I actually did have to debate a while because Haida is just so good. Such a good boy.
And now we have Best Girl.
Oof.
And the nominees are Nadeshiko Kagamihara from Laid Back Camp, Asurpa from, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but from Golden Kamui, Hinata Miyake from A Place Further Than the Universe, Anzu from Hinamatsuri, Lily Hoshikawa from Zombieland Saga, and Mai Sakurajima from Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai.
Mm-hmm.
I voted Lily because I love representation, and I also just loved Crunchyroll firmly taking a stand on that, so...
Yeah, I heard some people who felt like, I don't know, I ran into some people that were just like, oh, I feel like that's really, like, try hard, she's not the best girl of the series, and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, no, this is amazing, and it's great, and Lily is, honestly, like, the strongest girl in the series because her episode is like the best episode of the entire show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't finished Zombieland Saga yet, but I'd have to agree. If I didn't pick her, though, I probably would have gone with Nadeshiko, who actually was my best girl I picked from last year, if you listen to our awards. But if I have to pit those two up against each other, I really value that representation.
Yeah. Honestly, this category for me, like 4 of the girls were just such strong choices. But I had to go with my beloved Hinata from Place Further Than the Universe because I just really like her a lot. She good.
She's very good.
Yeah, I'd also go with Lily. That episode fucked me up pretty bad.
Yeah, same. We were both crying. It was out of all of these girls on screen, the 2 that made me cry were Anzu and Lily, so they probably would have. If it was Who Made You Cry Awards.
Oh man, yeah.
Anzu fucked me up.
No, seriously. Oh god. Like I'm glad I'm glad for the 4 girls that I love the most that are on here. I haven't watched Golden Kamui, but I've heard good things about Asurpa. And people like okay, cool.
I also voted Lily.
Oh, yay.
If Lily wasn't on here, even though I firmly believe she does deserve to be on here, I probably would have voted Anzu. But no, I voted Lily. Again, I can't heavily influenced by who made me to cry. But yeah.
So we have coming up next best voice actor performance in Japanese with Mamoru Miyano as Kotaro Tatsumi in Zombieland Saga, Radeko as Retsuko in Agretsuko, Megumi Han as Miki Makimura in Devilman Crybaby, Reina Ueda as Akane Shinjo in SSS.Gridman, Soma Saito as Honda-san in Skullface Bookseller Honda-san, and now Toyama as Rin Shima in Laid Back Camp. For me, I would probably go with Mamoru Miyano because his performance was amazing, and it just every time he opened his mouth, I laughed. Other than that, I would give it to Reina Ueda as Akane because she did a really good job too.
I gave it to Reina as well because I felt that one emotion being displayed doesn't necessarily show an entire performance, in my opinion. So I went with the person who I thought had the most varied performance. So I picked Akane.
I think I was torn between Mamoru Miyano and Reina as well, but I think I went with Mamoru Miyano.
I went with... Actually, I can't remember. It was probably either Radeko as Retsuko or Soma Saito as Honda-san. I have seen clips because Get's been watching SSS.Gridman, though, and I can totally see why she would get the vote. Because, yeah, her performance is great.
Yeah.
They're all pretty damn good, to be honest. All right, next.
Did any of us...
Can
any of us comment on this? I don't know.
I voted for Retsuko because I didn't watch any of the other English dub voices for the next one. So,
yeah, the next one is Best Voice Actor Performance in English, and I have not seen or heard any of these because I don't watch dubs.
I watched the Retsuko dub, and I loved what she did. Erica Mendez is a great Retsuko. I didn't listen to anybody else.
Yeah, exact same for me.
I voted Christopher Sabat as All Might. Because
I've seen him do good work, so.
Because the English dub of My Hero Academia is the only English dub on this I've seen.
Okay, next up we have Best Director, Atsuko Ishizuka with A Place Further Than the Universe, Taichi Ishidate with Violet Evergarden, Yohei Suzuki, Planet With, Masaki Yuasa with Devilman Crybaby, Yo Moriyama with Megalobox, and Hiroko Utsumi with Banana Fish. For me, I'd probably give this to Masaki Yuasa's work on Devilman Crybaby.
I did A Place Further Than the Universe.
Me too.
I thought about giving it to Devilman Crybaby, but like between the two works, which one impacted me more, I just went with that one. And that has to do with the directing and how they show you each scene and emotion. So yeah, I went with that too.
Me 3.
Devilman deserves it though. I'd be fine with either of those two, to be honest. I think all of those are pretty good candidates.
And next up we have Best Protagonist. The nominees are Retsuko from Agretsuko, Yumeko Jabami from Kakegurui, Joe from Megalobox, Violet Evergarden from Violet Evergarden, Rimuru Tempest from That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, and Sakuta Azusagawa from Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai.
As much as I bitched about it, I picked Yumeko Jabami because she was the only one I really cared about outside of Retsuko.
I'd probably give it to Joe. Just cause.
Did you watch all of that, Nom?
Oh yeah, I watched it all with Zach. Yeah, we watched it weekly.
Gotcha.
It's actually the only one on here that I have finished. Because I didn't finish Kakegurui.
I'm pretty sure I had started watching That Time I Got Reincarnated as Slime by the time I voted this, so pretty sure I voted Rimuru.
I voted for Retsuko as well.
Yeah, the next one's Best Antagonist. If I had to pick from the ones in this category, I'd give it to Akane Shinjo.
Same.
I have not seen... I might have withheld from this one because I haven't seen most of these. Either that or I just did All for One because it was the only thing I'd seen.
I'd probably either go with Akane or go for Ryo Asuka because they're both pretty good antagonists, but I like Akane better, so there we go.
Mm-hmm. And then Anime of the Year, I'd give it Zombieland Saga, probably.
That's surprising.
Well, yeah. Yeah, Zombieland Saga, probably.
Place Further Than the Universe.
Yeah, Place Further.
Place Further.
And then we have Best Fight Scene. The only one I've seen of these is Satan versus Devilman. So is that a spoiler?
It is. It's a very blatant spoiler.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what I voted for, to be
Yeah.
honest, because I didn't really see any of the other ones, and the one that I didn't really consider a fight scene, which is Hina versus Anzu.
I voted Hina versus Anzu.
I think I voted All Might versus All for one.
That's fair.
And then the last one is best continuing series.
March comes in like a
yeah,
lion.
Yeah,
Yes!
that's the only one
Yes!
that even remotely deserves that one. But
I mean, hey, some people would probably go with Ancient Magus Bride. I feel like the rest of them are like shonen series, so that makes
Yeah.
me blink, but
Hmm.
March comes in like a lion.
I voted Agent Magus Bride by default because I still haven't gotten around to Much Comes in Like a Lion. I am going to fix that eventually,
Someday.
one day.
so yeah, those are all the categories.
Woo!
We did our best,
We
guys.
did it, yeah.
We'll put a link for the last couple of ones that we did since we did them so quickly. I'll put a link, but
Yeah.
you guys can check out the Anime Awards. When are they announcing the results?
I want to say it's this week, like maybe maybe this weekend, but we'll, if you just search online, that should be able to tell you exactly when.
And now we get to move on to our review. Today we are reviewing the anime Shoujo Kageki Revue Starlight by the studio Kinema Citrus. Other shows by them include Made in Abyss and Yuyushiki. The synopsis is as follows. Childhood friends Karen and Hikari made a promise together that together they would one day become the next theatrical stars. Real life got in the way of their childhood dream when Hikari moved away, but Karen never forgot her promise. Years later, the two friends have finally have their chance when they're invited to a mysterious audition. However, the two are not the only ones who have trained for this moment, and they must now compete with others whom all share the same dream of performing on stage. That synopsis reads a little weird to me, but yeah, that's Mal for you. So first off, we have the story for this show. And does anybody want to go first, or?
Well, if nobody's going to talk,
Go.
I will say that I think that the story, despite there being some common tropes that we do see in anime, such as the promise and the premise of multiple people being in kind of not necessarily a battle royale situation, but kind of,
Basically.
yeah, kind of. The way that they intricately introduce to you everything that's going on is done in a very specific way to both narrate what happens in theater troupes in Japan, and all over the world if you really think about it, and it both praises and criticizes the stage and the theater in its narrative. Sorry guys, I'm a little drugged up today. But yeah, but in its narrative, it does all of those things in the course of 12 episodes, and I think that that's really, really cool. It starts out with a very interesting thought about, multiple girls fighting for the exact same thing, when it really is about multiple girls fighting for different things that they're passionate about, all surrounding the theater. And while I do think more time could have been spent if they had more episodes, I think that the story is very well done, and it has a very apt beginning, middle, and end. I was never bored, and I was always having fun with it.
So I was actually basically the one who picked the show, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we when we were going through my list of stuff that I wanted, you said to put it on my list,
Yeah,
and then
so-
we picked it together. Yeah.
Yeah. Because basically I'd heard people talking about it down on the grapevine on, Twitter and everything because of its tangible relation to Ikuhara. The director is like his protege, basically. And so, but I wasn't really, I'm not like the biggest Ikuhara fan, so I wasn't really like expecting me personally to be super into it. But man, finally, some good fucking food. I was so, this show has like even just plot wise does a lot of things that particularly like appeal to me in that it takes a lot of really like basic anime tropes and ideas, like we've got this group of girls going to like a school and working, towards their dream or whatever. But there are just enough spins on this idea and just enough ways that it subverts your expectations that even though it feels like, pretty close to things that most of us have seen before, it definitely still has its own like interesting take and own like style to it to just spice that up just enough to really create its own like flavor. And I really like that about this show a lot. I was pretty much consistently engaged from beginning to end, and I never felt there was very rarely any time where I felt like it was wasting my time, which is probably the biggest compliment I can give the show's plot, is that I never felt like it was wasting my time. So I was always pretty happy with it.
Yeah. And in addition to not wasting time, I don't feel that it ever got stale either, and that's what I was worried about. Especially because the way that the show operates is it has miniature arc after miniature arc after miniature arc. And by miniature arc, I mean like a singular episode per girl. And that's how the show starts. And I enjoyed what I was watching so far, but I was kind of waning towards, okay, are they ever going to switch this up? Is it ever going to become different? Is I ever going to care about Cotton? And then the show did some really cool stuff in the middle towards the latter half, and I enjoyed every minute of it, of the story and its narrative.
I mean, I'd mostly agree with you guys. I don't think it was necessarily wasting for me. I think during like the last 2/3 of the show, I got a little bit tired of them reiterating like what Starlight is and like giving us kind of the same flashbacks. But when I even think about it in the context of like, again, it's like they're showing a show. This is like kind of the act entrance sort of thing. I could see where it had its place. For me, I was kind of like, okay, yeah, you've recited this before. I would like maybe a little more of like character moments and stuff, but that's like a very minor complaint. Yeah, and like when it came to the episode's self-contained plots, I thought they were really nicely done.
I also really just love the flow of the series personally. I don't have any complaints about this story-wise. Not sure how much I can go into without going into spoilers, to be honest, but
I think that narratively, the only thing that I could complain about is that with the short runtime of 12 episodes, I think that they did what I wanted them to do, but I wish that each girl had like a 2 to 3 episode arc.
yeah.
I want to know more about Juna and her struggle with identity. I want to know more about Banana. I want to know I want to know anything about Maya and Claudine. I want so much more. And I think that goes to show how much I actually ended up caring about the characters, which we'll talk about later. But God, I feel like this show has enough juice and enough food that I could have had a full fucking banquet. And they were like, oh, but by the way, everybody gets their one individual plate and you only get to go up once. And I'm like, but why? You have so much potential here. Why would you waste it? Like, that's the only thing that kind of frustrates me, I guess. Because I just know that this could have been a 24-episode show and would have been fine.
Yeah. Yeah. On the backstage, initially, when we first got into this show, I was just so set on the idea that it was going to be 24 episodes. And I was like, oh, wait, it's 12. Oops. It just seems like with the premise, it could totally fit 24 episodes.
And Cammy had me believing it was 24 episodes, too, because I didn't check, and I was just like, oh, yeah, Revue Starlight was 24 episodes, right? Because it seems like it would be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree that I felt like the show could have been longer, and I would have loved for it to have been longer, because I think at the end I was like, God, I want more of that show. But I think with what it had, and even like certain like it would have been nice to know more about Tendo and Claudine, but at the same time, they're like kind of this sort of higher, like they're sort of like so above everyone else that I'm not that peeved about not knowing that much more about them. It's kind of like they're just, that's basically their thing, is that they're just above everybody. They're like the best and the actors or whatever, and they're pretty much completely into each other. But, yeah, I didn't, it's like I would have loved more, but the fact that there wasn't didn't detract, basically, from my experience.
That's good.
I think for me, it's like, it's not even that I just want even more character focus, which would have been nice. but also just more time of the girls interacting with each other as friends.
Yeah.
Because it's just the whole ending punch of Revue Starlight, and I'll go more into this into spoilers because there's a couple of scenes towards the end that fucked me up because they try and do this and they do it very well, but I think they could have done it better with more episodes, is the camaraderie of all of these girls that are working towards the same thing, but with different motivations and different ways of doing it and expressing themselves creatively. They should have arguments over stupid things on the set. They should be sitting around and talking about, and they did this a little bit, but things that they would have changed in the script. Like, I want to feel like I'm part of this theater school, and also that these girls have these interpersonal connections that go outside of, oh, we just live in a building together. They do it a little bit. But if we had a few more episodes that were character focused, in addition to having those kind of scenes sprinkled around the narrative too, I think it would have made that gut punch at the end for me a little bit more gut punchier. But that doesn't mean it was badly done. I just think that I want to be rolling on the floor crying and going to the hospital in an ambulance and just having both of my legs broken. But you know, like, everybody has their tolerance for what they want in a show, I guess.
I agree completely. Yeah, that was honestly just kind of it for me as well. You put it very well.
Yeah. One thing I want to say that I did like about the series is that even despite the rivalries amongst the characters, they do show that there still must be still a high level of trust amongst the cast, because one thing that happens quite often throughout the series is one will just grab one of the other girls and spin them and then pull them into a pretty deep dip, almost on a whim, and nobody ever fights against it or resists it, and they always just go along with it. It's like, oh, okay, we're doing this now.
You actually, that kind of goes into another note that I had that I forgot to mention, but like, there are some really like romantic moments and shots in this show that were just like delicious, and I think it's kind of I think it's kind of my weakness for ballroom dancing, but like whenever they dipped and like just looked at each other, I was like, oh man, this is this is awesome, and I love it. And
so much Yuri baiting in this series.
I don't know if it's all just bait though.
I was about to say, I wouldn't call what's going on in this show Yuri baiting, especially because, one, the dances and so on and so forth are extremely sensual in nature. That's why it's fun to watch, like, ballroom dancing or a performance, is that you're getting into your performance. So that kind of puts down the level of their performance to call it quote-unquote baiting. But there was some, like, legit also, like, these people are in love with each other kind of stuff put up front. Like, you can't even, it's not one of those things where it's like, will they, won't they? It's, if this person says this thing to another person, whether you are gay, straight, or otherwise, then it just is what it is.
Yeah.
There's feelings of romance there. It's pretty cool. It's very nice.
But yeah, going back to the trust thing, one of the main things I really liked about this show is, and I like mentioned this a bit on Twitter, is that like, this is basically like, the show has a battle royale setup, and most battle royale shows that I tend to watch, like even outside of the typical like we're fighting against each other for this thing that is happening, there's always like hostilities and, oh, I can't trust you, you know, outside of that sphere. And one thing I really appreciated about Revue Starlight is that even outside of their auditions where they're fighting against each other, everyone is still really good friends and everybody gets along. And there's no hard feelings, partly because there's, for a spoilery reason, but I still really appreciated that we have this like this actiony, like, you know, like dancey action, you know, like moments. But outside of that, everybody's like pleasant to each other and really nice and still working together to get their like, you know, their performance going. And I really appreciated that about the show.
I think it's very hard to talk about Revue Starlight without talking about spoilers, but I think that for the most part, the narrative is one of, but not only, but one of the places where the show really shines and has its own identity, especially in the sea. And I think Dominic brought this up, but in the sea of schoolgirl anime, this one really sticks out as having its own identity and talking about a very specific topic and using its narrative to tell its story. And I think that that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
And refreshing.
So moving on to characters,
Can I say something really quickly?
Oh, yeah,
Because
sure.
it'll go back to something you said earlier. I don't agree with your statement that Maya and Claudine are just there to be the top tier, because that otherwise they wouldn't have taken that time to show that rivalry between the two of them. And also one of the biggest things that is hammered into you in the story is that regardless as if you're at the top or not, you constantly have to be working to stay at the top. And I think that they could have utilized
I think
that.
them being in constant competition as the top, like, you know, Claudine is, you know, number 2 and Tendo is number 1, but they're still constantly fighting each other, and what it ends up coming to is Tendo still needs that constant competition at the top to stay there. So, I mean, that's basically what it seems like to me. I mean, I get what you're saying, but to me, I don't really think that just because they're at the top that they're not fighting to keep that spot.
No, and that means that they could have more stuff brought into the
I mean,
character.
they could. They definitely could. For me, it wasn't necessary.
I just wanted to bring in that point. Everybody else can talk now. I just wanted to say that they definitely were good characters, and I think that they could have done more with them.
Yeah, I really, the entire time, was just loving on Claudine, and I was very disappointed that she didn't get, like, you know, enough dedicated focus. That goes for Maya, too, because, I mean, they're so intertwined with each other, but, like, yeah, it was definitely a case for me where I was like, this is a character that I really see myself liking, and I didn't get as much focus as I wanted. So, there's that. She speaks French, and it's so nice, and I love that every time she spoke French.
I love that Revue Starlight introduced a character in Hikari that I did not give a shit about when she first showed up. And then she was one of my favorite characters by the end. I thought that was really cool. I can't go into why I feel that way about her without going into spoilerific kind of things. But I do like what Revue Starlight does. Not just with Hikari. I felt the same way about Banana, too.
Yeah.
That, oh, wow, here's this character type that I think is kind of cute, but she's doing nothing to really make me care or stand out. And then bada boom, bada bang, I cared a whole lot about Banana, too. They did a lot of good work character-wise and making characters seem like they may be either a trope, a placeholder, or just unimportant, and then coming up and slapping you across the face later.
Oh, totally. Totally.
Which is really good character development work that I don't see a lot in anime, so.
So Cassie actually, like, I won't say what she said, but she actually said, like, a compliment towards Hikari that I'll go into later that, like, actually legitimately surprised me coming from Cassie. I was like, damn, girl, you really liked her.
I liked Hikari a whole lot.
I mean, she's also my favorite character, so I get that.
I think even with characters, too, where I could kind of see where their plot was going, they ended up making me feel invested and made the characters feel genuine. My prime example here is Mahiru, who I also really liked.
Yes!
Like, I feel like you could kind of really see from a mile away kind of what her role was going to be, but oh man, there was just so much feeling there, and it was so well done with her arc, and she's great, and I love her.
Yeah, she had one of my favorite reviews, like, period.
Yeah?
Like, it was just so cool and fun.
It was cool and fun, but it also, like, I know that almost all the reviews go into the psychology, or psychology, bleh, the psychiatric moments the characters are having at that time, but I feel like Mahiru's was just so very layered. And I think that's why that's why her review sticks out to me. And even though she's basically like the most tropiest of the tropes in the cast, like Cammy said, you could see where her story was going to go from a mile away. The way that they made that impact still hit was really impressive. And I was impressed with Mahiru, and she's also one of my favorites. I have a lot of favorite characters in this show.
Yes.
I have a lot of favorite characters.
I've got a certain note written here that I'm not, that is directed at Mahiru, and I'm not sure if I should say it yet. I'll put it up in spoilers, actually, never mind.
That works for me. We can talk about it in spoilers.
Honestly, I liked so many of the cast so much that picking a favorite character was really hard for me. But I ended up giving it to Hikari as well. I think she just nudged it out because of a few reasons. I end up relating to her in some way, in some odd ways, admittedly, but still.
Yeah, I can get that.
They did a lot of character development work on Hikari that was very interesting and kind of came out of left field, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
Kaden is probably somebody we should talk about, even though I don't think she's anybody's favorite.
She is the main character.
She's technically the main character. I thought it was interesting because I didn't give a shit about Kaden until the very end of the show, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I think I liked her aesthetically. I think I liked her being there. I don't think that she was not necessary in the cast. It's that she never really gave me any reason to care about her more so than everybody else. I think she's definitely needed for the story. She's an intricate part of it. But I didn't end up caring for her until I saw what her role in the story really was, and that doesn't come until almost the very end for me. I don't know how everybody else felt about her, but for me, Kaden did not shine until almost the very end of the show. I don't know if that's really a detriment or not, but that's how I felt about her character.
Yeah, I can agree. Since this is such like a short show, though, I wouldn't view that as a detriment against her personally, just because it's okay to have a character take 12 episodes. I think that's a fair amount of time to essentially come into form like that. So for me, I didn't have a particular problem with her essentially coming into her own at the very end, just because it's a shorter show.
Yeah. She honestly, she annoyed me and I didn't really care about her, but I do appreciate, like you said, Cassie, the role that she plays within the narrative. And when that's revealed, it's really nicely done.
I enjoyed her character. She was actually one of the most considering putting as my icon for a while. But again, I think I just ended up liking Hikari a tiny bit more.
Yeah.
There was one character that I can easily point out as being my least favorite.
I think I know who it is.
Is it Karuko? Or how you say it?
I think I'm the only one who likes her.
Dom, I do too.
Oh, okay.
I didn't like her until literally one of the ending scenes. And then I was like, you know what? Never mind. She is who she is, and she's so unabashedly who she is. Never mind. I kind of like her. She's still not my favorite or anywhere close to my favorite.
She's not my favorite, but I liked her.
But I don't dislike her.
Yeah.
But
I won't say I won't go as far as to say I hated her or anything. But there was parts of her character that I did still enjoy. It's just that there was certain things about her that kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Oh yeah, no, she's a brat.
Yeah.
I think she's supposed to. I think I would be a little bit worried if she didn't. I think she rubbed everybody the wrong way. It's just that she's doing that because that's who she is. Yeah. And then I'm just like, okay, that makes it more of a realistic cast if you think about it, especially in the situation they're in, where it's all about roles and people getting those roles and taking into consideration the environment she grew up in and the relationship between her and her friend. And I'm like, you know what? The more I think about it, the more I'm really okay with her being there. And I even minutely like her. But I can definitely see where you're coming from, John, because I didn't like her very much either. I need to sit with her for a while.
Yeah. It's actually crazy when you bring it into context, because I didn't even think about it. But within, theater kids, that totally is a thing.
Yeah.
That's what I was pointing at. I'm like, there's one of these in every theater.
Yeah, that's part of the reason I couldn't bring myself to dislike her. Because as someone who did theater through most of high school and a good chunk of college, I was just like, yeah, there's always one of those.
Exactly.
There's always one of these.
It's odd. I do appreciate her being there. I do.
For sure.
She does add to the cast in that really believable way, and specifically her interactions with her friend. I think her friend,
Futaba?
I'm not sure if Futaba. I think Futaba being there made her a lot more tolerable.
Yeah,
Futaba
Futaba definitely like anchors her.
Futaba was definitely another candidate for for being my favorite character at one point.
The entire cast is a candidate for Best Girl, and I wouldn't say anybody is wrong. And you know what? That's great.
Yeah.
I'm happy that Revue Starlight has that. It's got a very colorful cast. I even liked the giraffe.
I love the giraffe.
I love the giraffe. I ended up loving the giraffe more than I thought I was going to love the giraffe when he gave me a jump scare and called out my bullshit, but that's a later conversation.
Yes.
I think one of the other small bits that I do want to bring up about characters is I just love the way that the show introduces, and I won't go into who obviously, but introduces pairs. Like, pairs is a huge concept here between the girls, and I love how unique each of their dynamics are. And honestly, they're just all very compelling and really enjoyable to watch. I had like notable pairs that I really, really enjoyed. But you know, dive more into that, I guess, in spoilers. But yeah, they did a really nice job with that. I think it would have been really easy to make some of the like pairs have like samey relationships, but they were all well thought out and elaborate and complex, and I liked it.
Yeah, I also like how it like played with pairs and like mismatched them and stuff.
Yeah,
And
ooh,
sort
and
of
then that's where
would
the
force
drama
them
came.
apart. Yeah, I like that a lot.
That's the juicy shit.
Let's get down to the production. Yeah, I mentioned briefly before that the director of the show is Tomohiro Furukawa, who has worked in the past before with Ikuhara, primarily on Penguin Drum, was one of the big shows he was involved with, and that's you can definitely see a lot of the things that he learned from Ikuhara sort of bleeding into the show, like, and from what I did a little bit of reading around on, namely the Sakuga blog that's run by basically all the really knowledgeable Sakuga people about this show, because they did a blog post essentially for like every single, like almost like all the episodes, and they go like bit by bit into like all the different cast members that are involved and like what stuff they've worked on. And there's a lot of people who have worked with Ikuhara that are involved in this show, and so I think that's why a lot of those similarities tend to bleed in multiple ways, and it's really nice. In addition to that, I just loved how well animated this show was. Like, I don't think there was any point in time where I was looking at it and I was like, that looks bad. There might have been some weird, I think there's like one fight, it's the duel fight at the beginning of it, where it's kind of not super well choreographed as the rest. But otherwise, yeah, this show like is consistently like really good looking, as it should be, because it's, you know, a one-core show. But yeah, that was, I don't have anything bad to say on production. Even the music, like the music is phenomenal, and that's not just like counting the vocal themes. Like a lot of the background music is just really good and really fitting and is eloquently timed to like the scene play and everything. It's production in this show is just great. I can't say anything bad about the production, honestly. Like,
I made a comment, I think, to Cammie earlier today, and I think I made the same comment to Dominic, in that I wish that the show had been a 24-episode show, but with the amount of money that they dumped into just the music on this show, I don't think it could have lasted for 24 episodes.
yeah.
And if I'm just talking about the music, each girl, when they had their review, or their duel, or whatever you would like to call it, they were singing back and forth to each other. Every ED swapped out the different girls singing about the different things that they were thinking or feeling at the time.
Yeah.
This show basically has a musical soundtrack to it.
Yeah, basically.
And that alone had to have costed them a pretty penny. And on top of that, the show looks really good. So I'm like, you know what? As much as I really would have liked a 24-episode show that would have fleshed out the narrative, I feel like we would have lost a lot of the musical numbers, and we would have lost a lot of things that make this show brilliant in its production, and the music and the animation being the most standout that I could think of. But their use of sound choreography is ridiculously good. The voice acting is ridiculously good. I'm trying to think of something that I didn't like in production. I'll sit here and ponder while somebody else takes me off my gush train. I just wanted to make that point really fast.
The choreography, like the dedication to just choreography and knowing like the mechanics of a stage and how a stage works, and then the fact that you're on kind of a radicalized stage and how many ways you could play with that, just like was so fucking brilliant. And I just loved and was just like transfixed by every review performance. It was just like, you know, the same awe that I feel when I'm sitting and watching a really well put together stage production. So I really admired them for that. One thing that I can think of that I wasn't a huge fan on is the dub, which I started watching the show in dub and I dropped it after episode 4 because some of the casting was really grating and I didn't like it.
Didn't watch the dub, but
I didn't either. Craig did, and I wish he was here.
Yeah.
Because I think that he watched the whole thing in dub, I believe. I think he said that he thought the dub was okay, which Craig is normally very generous, so Craig saying something that is okay.
Yeah.
I think that it's probably going along with what Cammie said.
Yeah,
I think that the only standout performance he pointed out in the English dub was literally the giraffe.
Oh, really? Yeah, the giraffe was very good.
And that's it.
I didn't watch far enough to really be sure, but they did have Lucy Christian as Banana, and I do love Lucy Christian's performances, and she sounded pretty good as Banana, so, like, I should go back and watch episode 7 in dub just to, you know, see how she takes that.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think the biggest weaknesses were Juna's performance and Karen's. It was a shame. Like, now I want to go back and rewatch, because I instantly liked Juna once she had a fitting voice.
Juna was literally my first best girl. When I watched the first 3 episodes, Juna was number 1. She's still up there. She's not my number 1 no more, but she's still up there, and she makes up my favorite pairing.
Oh my god.
Which we will talk about, I'm sure, in spoilers, because if there's a pairing in this show that fucked me up, it was Juna and you know who.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree, Cammie. Like, but on the flip side, the Japanese performances were like phenomenal.
Yeah.
Especially on Hikari's part in the last few episodes. She did a really good job, and and it's actually kind of interesting. You'd think that they'd bring out their all to try and get a really good English cast and a show about theater.
Yeah, I think it's just because they were trying to do it in a dubcast style, which meant that there would be some limitations and rush to it. And honestly, I almost wish they didn't do dubcast, because it makes sense here in this case, but they left the vocal performances in Japanese, which which I'm glad they did, because I'd rather have that than have like English actors who aren't like trained singers trying and just having it be bad. But like at the same time, I think the show would have really benefited from a really nicely budgeted, like full production, well put together dub, basically.
I agree completely, especially with the music. I'd love to have English dub songs, because if you're going to watch an English dub, you need both, because the songs are directly, it's not
they're integral, basically.
It's integral to these scenes. It's the girls singing their feelings at each other. It's a fucking Broadway musical in anime form. What is the name of the troops in Japan? There's a name for it. I use Broadway.
Yeah, Takarazuka.
There we go. It's basically basing off that kind of performance. I said Broadway because I couldn't think of a better comparison. Please don't kill me. But they're trying to emulate that theater, and you need all of it. You need all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, like on a whole, for the show and the original voice cast, like, God, the production of this was just stellar, like on all fronts.
There was some use of CG in this that, like, wasn't like glaringly, oh, that's CG, that looks bad. No, this was like wow, that had to be done in CG to get it to look like that. There's this one review where there ends up being a 3D spin mid-battle around the two girls like charging at each other, and just so fluid and there was.
If we're talking about production and one of the things that stood out to you, I think we need to talk about the quote-unquote transformation that Conan has.
Oh.
Like, we can't talk about production without talking about that.
Every time it came on, I loved it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it's so unorthodox. It's also like really short. Like, every time I watched it, it always felt like shorter than I remembered it being.
Yeah.
But like it's just so unique, and I just love the like steampunkish like kind of look to it. One thing that I always loved is how she's falling, you know, and it's got the I am reborn and everything, and immediately after you see her pin go into like the little, you know, like lava thing or whatever. Like, and I just thought that was so like cool because like that pin sort of like signifies, I guess, herself essentially, as it like falls in, and she's like, you know, it's used to like make her outfit and everything. I was like, God, that is amazing. What a good show. And
then she actually gets a little tiny crown.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing that it's so interesting because the first time you see it, it's just an awe to watch. But then like the more you learn about the show and you think about theater and the messages that are slowly being fed to you throughout the show, the more kind of unsettling it is. Because, you know, it's just making one uniform and like millions of uniforms, and it's one brush of makeup among all of these different colors that are used for so many different women who are trying to become these top stars. And it's such a little tiny, this little pinch of some of the stuff that the show's trying to say about how much dedication these girls are feeding into a system that may glorify or put them down. Ugh!
I want you to make a blog post essay about this show, please.
Yeah.
Because it's just really cool at first, but then it's just really cool and unsettling. It's just so cool.
Yeah, the whole mechanics of building the costume is just so neat. Also very much reminded me of the unorthodox transformation sequences in Ikuhara's work. It gave me the same sort of effect that I loved about it in Ikuhara's work, so huge props to that.
And also the song that plays the entire time as well.
That is actually, jumping off what Cassie said, you know, it's like it's kind of an unsettling like song at the start. It's got that I don't know what instrument it is, but the way it just sounds is just like kind of like a little haunting.
And they're kind of quiet, but there's the very echoey kind of lyric to the song that it's kind of hard to hear over all the mechanical sounds that are going on. Especially when the red hot iron bar comes out is when I always noticed it the most. It just has this sort of like almost haunting sound to it. But just I still loved it all.
I mean, I think you're supposed to. It's like it's unsettling, but it's supposed to be unsettling, and that's what's great about it.
Opening and ending?
Yeah. Yeah.
We kind of already gushed about the
ED. We've gushed. Yeah, we did that earlier.
True. I love the ED. I love that it changed every time. I loved that it took me 2 seconds to figure out that it changed every time. I loved that it also changed in regards to the characters' moods. There is a completely lyricless version of the ending, and it hits like a gut punch because of the character it's showcasing, and it is both simultaneously hilarious and also simultaneous like, aw man, they went there. Yeah. Like, they do that with the ED so much, and like, even with the animations in the ending, how they're falling, how they're all leaning on each other to make this one big tree of performer.
Thank you. Yes, that's what I wanted to get out, and you express things about the show so much more eloquently than I do, so thank you. Perfection.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, and then when we go into spoilers, I want to ask if anyone had a favorite duet, because I definitely did.
Oh, that'll be fun. The opening had to grow on me. I actually skipped it a couple of times because I just was like, Yeah. And then I liked it more towards the end.
Yeah.
The opening is kind of it's kind of generic at first, in like, there's just whatever. But there's still some very, very good animation in the opening.
Yeah.
Once it gets going. But yeah, I did enjoy the opening.
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Yeah, shortly after I was like, oh, there's nothing I could say that's bad about the production, or like, there's nothing that I didn't love about the production in this show. I remembered the opening, which isn't bad.
Yeah.
It's just like, and in a way, I guess this works is because it is kind of like a very standard opening. So it does, belie your expectations a bit. But by the end of the show, it like Cassie said, it did grow on me quite a bit, and I enjoyed watching it.
And I agree with John. There's some stellar moments of animation in that opening, especially when they showcase like the revues and the different weapons that each girl has in their revue.
The transitions as well in it.
I also really like the little part at the beginning with the little chibi Karen and Mahiru where she's waking up. I thought that's cute. I like that part a lot.
That's the bit that I always end up focusing on. Like, oh yeah, I know the girls are walking around and at the bottom of the screen, but I just kept on watching Karen getting woken up and falling out of bed.
It's cute.
I agree. This is completely off topic from the opening. Cammy, did you have any thoughts on the opening?
You basically said it for me.
Okay.
Yeah, musically, like, Get and I talked about it because that's all we ever do is talk about anime openings. But it was like, at times, it sounded like just a generic kind of idol song to me where it has the whole cast singing. And then it would go into little lilts where it sounded more like theatrical, more dramatic, more like big stagey. And I loved that part. So I just wish it was all like theatrical, big stagey, but it kind of jumped between that and generic. So yeah, to me, it was also just kind of okay.
Another thing that I forgot to bring up earlier when we were talking about animation and the cool stuff that this show does, and I had a note on it if I was actually looking at any of the notes that I meant to write down, but didn't. That shows how prepared I came because I was just so overwhelmed by how much I loved the show. Another thing that I really enjoyed is how they used stage props to make a point. Yeah, this happened like a lot in the last few episodes, specifically with Hikari and some stars she was messing with that were actually part of an ongoing stage. But they did it also too with Banana when she was looking at specifically a couple of stage props. And some other moments in the show that I literally can't go into without mentioning spoilers. But like they like using parts of the stage to make a point about something that they were talking about earlier on, or a message or a theme, and it's just so cool, and I like it a whole lot.
The more subtle thing to do with the stage that I actually loved was going back to episode 1. You got that position 0 mark on the floor in the practice hall.
Yeah.
And like how where Mahiru and Karen were the first to get there, Karen instantly stepped over and stopped at position 0 and announced that she was at position 0. And it really kind of drove on home that like position 0 is center stage, and that's where they all want to be.
Hey, nice.
Yeah, they played with that a lot, like outside of like in the high school setting. They played with that a lot in a few of the episodes. I know there's a few parts later on where they also focus on the position 0 mark and everything, and so it's pretty cool.
Costume design also was really cool to me.
Yes!
The uniform colors and like how some of the pairs had parallel colors. The fact that Mahiru's uniform is green fucks me up a lot, okay? for thematic reasons, because green is the color of a certain emotion. So I just...
Oh,
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now I get you.
I never even caught. You see, there's so much stuff
Yeah,
in this show
I never thought
that
about that.
they like that they just
I
like
didn't catch
weave.
that either.
I love you, Cammy.
Well, I love you. You gave me that weapons thing I did not notice at all. So it's
Oh yeah,
all of us.
Oh, God, that was so fun too. I mentioned to Cammy that, like, how Hikari's weapon evolves is, like, very symbolic of her, like...
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, but we'll go into that into spoilers
Yeah.
and stuff. But, God, there's so much stuff that they, like, I feel like what they couldn't do with their episode length, they just poured into what they had.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a sign of a good production. It showed that they actually gave a shit.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that, especially with us slogging through a gajillion anime every season. So, thank you guys. Thank you, production staff.
Yeah.
You're underpaid. Thank you for this very important anime.
So do we want to go into ratings or keep gushing about production?
We'll see if anybody has any final points, I suppose. I got nothing else until spoilers. Then I got a lot.
I feel like we have to go into ratings or I'm going to loop on production goodness forever.
Yeah, it's a really good production.
Yeah.
Like, I've got one note here that really doesn't do the series justice, though. But one of my first thoughts was this series is like Love Live and Utena had a baby, complete with engine noises.
Engine notes.
I mean, I like it.
Yeah, I'm here for that.
No, I think you make a really good point, John, because it takes, like, the thematics of almost every freaking generalized schoolgirl show that you'll ever see, which I don't want to bring Love Live down to that, but it shows a lot of those tropes, and it's very much about something, I won't say trivial, but nothing otherworldly of Love Live, and then brings in some of the more intricate stuff that you see woven into Utena's works, and considering the director worked under Ikuhara, I think you made a really interesting combination there.
Yeah.
So, thumbs up, buddy.
All right, so on to ratings.
I passed this show, so I get to go last.
Oh,
Hey.
okay. All right.
Mhm.
Let's start with John.
Yeah.
Oh.
How does it feel under the bus?
Yeah.
I wasn't actually sure what to rate this going into this episode, but I've been gushing so much. We've all been gushing so much that I think I have to give it a love it.
Okay.
There just ended up being so much that I just end up giddy, and I've had this dumb grin on my face every time I was like, oh yeah, in this moment. So yeah. There's so little to like find fault with this series. Even the nitpicks that I have, just like I can understand and can't really would be lesser for those nitpicks not to be there in an odd way. So yeah, I love this series.
All right.
It's great. Go watch it.
All right, and next we'll do Cammy.
Okay, sure. So what was I saying to get about it? Yeah, I have a closer line that I guess I'll say about it. Revue Starlight did so many fucking cool, untraditional things that we honestly need more of. It's a shining example of originality in a sea of things that are pretty basic that are coming out nowadays. So this show is highly notable. I think that for many of us, if we had seen it in 2018, it would have made our best of the year list. I love the production so much. I love all of the aspects pertaining to theater. I love the performances. For me, the only holdback I had, and this is just me for whatever reason, I didn't get enough like sitting time with some of the characters for me personally to get super emotionally invested in, and I hold a lot of value in how like emotionally invested I can get into a show. So for some reason it might have even just been that I was watching this for a podcast and I had to watch in between where I could. I think that I didn't get as much of an emotional attachment to the show as I wanted. I think a rewatch might fix that, especially, you know, as we go through and observe all these things that are so great about this show. So I would, on a whole, give it a very high like it. As this is the director's, like, full-blown, I think, as a director, like, premiere, I would say that this is, like, a very, just a very brave, like, knockout first attempt at a show, and I am really excited to see what they'll come up with next. Yeah, and for an alternate anime recommendation, I thought Princess Tutu would be a good fit, especially as both of them commit to like a classic kind of stage performance, and weaves it into its narrative in like really wild, creative, and fun ways. And they're shows that are very unique and can't really be compared. So go check it out.
Well said. For me, I've been waiting for like a show like this for like a really, really long time. I tend to really gravitate towards shows that not only feature full female casts, but also have like an action element to them as well. And what I find is that a lot of anime, like, there's a lot of anime like that, but they tend to either fall into categories that I'm not so big on. Like, they tend to be like edgy magical girl shows, or they tend to be like kind of stupid. So,
Dumb and ecchi.
yeah. And so a show like this that has that element to it and is also very sincere and just pleasant to watch. It's, like, there's not a whole lot of like dumb anime stuff that happens. Like, this is something you could show someone who doesn't even watch that much anime, and they would still be able to like get into it and appreciate it. And so I'm like super grateful that it exists. And also it panders to me on a bunch of really obscure levels that I don't think many people would really understand. So I love this show, and I totally recommend anyone give it a shot because, one, it's only 12 episodes. It starts amazingly well. I mean, I don't think there's any real issue with how it weaves you in, how it, leans you into the story. So I total love it. Please watch it. It's amazing. It's great.
It is great.
On to Cassie.
Yay, on to me. Okay, so this is one of the few shows that I have leaned to almost giving a perfect score to outside of March Comes In Like a Lion in the last couple of like months/year, I suppose. If I had had an opportunity to put this on my list at the end of last year, it probably would have ranked relatively high because it's so different, because it revels in both its triumphs and its failures. I think that the few nitpicks I had with the show, they did things to try and make that better. They held off making Kaden interesting, because if you tried to make her interesting at the beginning and tried to show her integral part in the story, it would have felt stale by the end. They knew exactly what they were doing with their production. They knew exactly what they were doing with every single bit of music. They knew exactly where they wanted some characters to go, and they knew where they wanted some characters to end and not have as much screen time, which made me sad, but it was fine. I don't think that I could really give any knocks to the show in regards to viewing it objectively, I suppose is where I'm going. Now, when I go to subjectively, it gets even better because I love a whole lot of shit that the show did on a personal level. And it's very rare that me being me, that I don't find something to bitch about, because that's what I'm good at, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
I always find something to bitch about, and normally I do it for like 20 minutes, and I've been trying to get better at it. It's something that I think as a host that I need to learn to step back on a little bit. And for once, I found an anime where I can just, boom, hit the accelerator and talk about all the great things that it does. All the great things that it does. One thing that I'm really looking forward to talking about in spoilers is just how much emphasis is put on the great things about theater and the bad things about theater, and how we as an audience weave into that motif. And at that point, I was sold. The show's as close to a masterpiece as I'm probably going to get. So I love the show a whole lot. And I hope that more people watch it, because I think that it has been, for a lot of people, put on a very low priority list simply because of what its cast looks like, if I'm being blunt. And I think that you need to give yourself a chance and an opportunity to experience this, even if that is a bias of yours. Wakarimasu.
And with that, we'll be going into spoilers. So if you haven't watched this show, tune out now.
Yeah, please leave.
Yeah.
Go away. We don't want you here. Go and experience it in the best way you can. Blind.
Just
go
go
away.
watch
Shoot.
it. So yeah, moving on to spoilers. I just want to go back to that one thing I mentioned earlier. about the thing Cassie said?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was at work and we were talking about the show because I was thinking about it like constantly this entire week. And Cassie was like, oh yeah, Hikari is like one of my favorites now. She's like Homura, but better. And I was like, damn!
Whoa!
That is some amazing praise coming from you.
Well, here's the thing, because, like, one of the things that makes Madoka Magica, like, one of my favorite anime and why it, like, hit me like a train wreck a million years ago is because of Homura's desperate need to try and save Madoka. The thing that makes Hikari great is that she not only has specific aspirations for Kaden, obviously, but she also has inspirations for herself, which Homura desperately lacks.
I agree.
And that's what makes Hikari such a compelling character, because the thing that makes her so bland at the beginning is because she literally poured everything that she had into theater and lost almost all of it because of how the reviews work.
Yeah.
And once you actually figure that out, it's a mind-blowing moment, because it's like, oh, no wonder she was such a cold and like bland like archetype, because she had everything that made her an individual basically sucked out of her, and she had to try and do her best to keep that in mind and still hold on to what little shine she had left, not only for Kaden, but for herself. And it was like, fuck, man, I love you. You're such a good character. Homura has no sense of self.
Yeah.
That's why I made that comparison.
Yeah. It's just, I was very surprised to hear that, that's all.
Well, now you know why I said it. I don't think I ever explained myself.
You didn't, no. But I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah. That note I mentioned about Mahiro earlier, it is my first note in my list of notes. It was very quickly that I got this vibe. Like, pretty quickly after she was introduced, I was like, disaster lesbian detective.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Every time she did anything, Dominic yelled disaher lesbian.
I mean,
while we were watching the show, you were 100% correct.
She is. I mean, there's that her episode essentially where she's like going around to all of like Karen's little things. I was like, oh no, honey.
Mm-hmm.
Like
that episode confirmed it for me, but even before that episode, I was like, disaster lesbian detective.
Oh, she is such a disaster lesbian. That's one of the other things I love about her. I think we never pointed this out in story, and since we're talking about this now, I just want a moment to say the few bits of comedy in this show are gold.
Yeah.
Like, one of my favorite scenes is when Karuko notices that Hikari and Kaden left the campus so she could totally rat them out and eliminate some competition.
Yeah.
And Mahiru calls them out on their bullshit. And I'm like, alright, this is good. That's good. And then, like, all the times when Mahito is in, like, disaster lesbian mode and Hikari's just, like, right there and she's like, oh, I forgot something. And, like,
oh, yeah! Oh, no! That was really good.
You poor sunshine child.
I'm glad you brought that up, yeah. Oh, yeah, no. I love Mahiru, and green for her uniform as envy hurts me. Poor thing.
Yeah. I didn't put that together till you mentioned it. I was like, oh, yeah, it is.
Same, but the moment you mentioned, like, it is associated with a color, it's like, it clicks!
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes...
Yeah, oh, I like that. I like that bananas is white because it just adds to kind of the feeling of isolation. Good shit.
It's probably there's so much about this series that I think I need to go back and rewatch the series now that I've seen it start to finish already.
There's just so much to say.
Maybe just do a bit of a deep dive and analysis of everything.
Yeah, there's a lot that you can, and you know what? And that's one of the things that I think is so cool is that if this show really rings true to you, you can rewatch it. It has a lot of rewatchability.
Oh yeah.
A scene that I can't not mention also, and somebody talk over me eventually because I'll just keep gushing otherwise. But one of the scenes that I love the most, and I don't know, it just messed me up, and it was that camaraderie feeling is when Karin goes to get Hikari and each girl is helping her down the steps and they say like a different factoid and then I'll see you on the stage. Like, that fucked me up. I liked that scene a lot. And they're just all helping her get there.
It was good. And then they have the scenes, you know, around that are surrounding that scene where the characters themselves are physically at the school, you know, like holding that little party or whatever and celebrating while, you know, Karen goes down. But still, while Karen is going down, you have those moments where they're like talking to her and pushing her forward. It's good. It's real good.
And just the subtle, the way they were preparing plates for both Karen and Hikari, like fully confident that they'll both be back in time for dinner.
So Cassie and I were talking about this, and I was going to say Cassie also brought up another thing that was pretty heart-wrenching, and it was when Maya and Claudine were defeated, and then they were talking to each other in French.
Oh my
She's
god!
She's just like, stand my Claudine, you're even beautiful when you fail. I'm like, baby.
That was the moment that I was just like, just fuck already.
Yeah, that was incredibly gay.
Yes.
Like,
They were speaking in the language of love.
Yeah.
That was intentional.
So beautiful. I love them.
I needed more of them.
Yeah.
Like, even if I didn't get any more character development or any more of them just striving to be at the top, I just needed more of them being super gay. Like, just anything.
Their scenes, when they dipped, I was just like, oh man, I could cut that sexual tension with a knife.
Or like when one of them would walk in when the other one was already practicing and it'd be like, oh it's you.
Yeah. Good
Why
shit.
are you here?
Bitch, please, you know why she's there. She's there for you.
Good shit, man.
Going back to depressing things for a moment, the thing I was implying earlier about them using props, the thing at the end where Hikari had to keep acting out the exact same goddamn scene over and over, and she'd reach for those star props and they would knock her the fuck over and ruin all of her progress, only for her to start and do it all over again, and it being used as a metaphor for the fucking theater in general, messed me up. And, yeah, just wanted to mention that too, because that's one of the things where I was like, wow, you just have to keep doing that, right? And then when she finally is about to be saved and like things start becoming very thematic again, and then the giraffe looks at you and it's like, you're fucking enjoying this, you sick fuck. And I'm like, yes, I am.
Yeah, we have to talk about that because that
fucking the fact that like it starts off with him just narrating. It's like, you're probably wondering why I'm always sitting here on the sideline.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, this is like... And then he looks turns
directly
to the camera
at you.
and locks eyes with you and calls you out on your shit. And I'm like, wow, I feel so fucking attacked right now.
Cassie, we were sitting there...
He speaks the truth.
We were sitting there watching it, and Cassie is like, oh god, I'm actually legit freaked out right now.
That creeped me out so much.
I really wish I could have seen your reaction in person. Like,
it was so good.
I lost my mind. I was so freaked out.
Like, I just wish I had seen it with you guys and could have felt that energy, because I was just like doing my hair and I wasn't like super invested in that fight specifically. So he turned to me and I was like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm just doing my hair, but okay, let's keep going.
Aw, man. That makes me sad, because that's one of like the most impactful moments of the show, and where like everything comes to a head, because like throughout the whole show they're like, you know, feeding you these things about how, yeah, it sucks that all these girls have to fight to, you know, each other to become the top star, and of course like the top star basically takes away from everyone else. That's a really cool metaphor. But the moment that fucking giraffe turns around and is like, you as the audience are at fault for this shit continuing to happen, I was like,
yeah.
well, you're not wrong.
Yeah. No, I'm really glad you guys at least really got a lot out of it. And, like, I feel like for audiences as a whole, like, it was such a bold move to make. Again, the show being fucking bold as hell, which is awesome.
Can we talk about Juna and Banana for a minute there, Cammy? Because...
we just have to talk about Banana in general.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the scene where Juna and Banana have their talk, and Juna like comes up with her, like she's telling her all these different like quotes or something from different like theater writers, and then she's just like, you know what, you can just be your own star, like grab your own, and then like Banana has her little moment of weakness and cries, and you realize she was never really the bad guy, she just loved her friends a whole lot.
She did.
Yeah.
Banana's good.
Yeah.
Banana's so good.
Like, I don't know what it was, but like maybe a couple days after I saw like Banana's episode and then like that other one and just thought about it, and I kept listening to her and Juna's version of the duet, which is my favorite. But like it just really started to sink in for me that like a lot of her weaknesses and like the way that she handles things were something that I could relate to, and I was like kind of fucking haunted for the rest of the day. And I was just like, man,
Yeah.
good shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Banana thing also really resonates with me because as someone who also did theater in high school, I was like on stage crew on like one production, and I just remember how much fun that was.
Yeah.
And you know, like it's one of the few memories I have of high school that I look back on that was like just purely like enjoyable to me. So I totally get that like feeling of just like nothing will ever be, you know, and as I went further on and taking more acting classes, even in the college and stuff, there was always this like ringing thought in my head, like this is never going to be as good as it was during like that time in high school, you know, that sort of thing. So like it was something that really resonated with me really, really profoundly with Banana's whole arc.
That's awesome. But yeah, when she cried in Juna's arms, it was a lot of feelings, and I was just like, whoo boy. Good
I
shit.
love that she's also not just an because like the show never really has like a
No.
specific antagonist. So you put it on the giraffe at first, and then you're like, oh wait, never mind, Banana's going to be the main antagonist of the show. No, you are.
You are the antagonist.
You're the
Yeah.
antagonist. You fucking sick fuck. But no, like I love what they did with Banana, because you get that thought in your head. Oh, she's the antagonist. Like even though she has like these like good values, and she has good thoughts and feelings behind what she's doing, she's being incredibly selfish.
Yeah.
But that selfishness is born from the selflessness that is Banana. Like she's the one who's baking everybody food and making sure they get to sleep.
Everyone.
Like, so that's just such a really cool parallel in and of itself. Good God.
Yeah.
What a good show.
What a good show.
Like, and again, I don't like, and Cassie and I were talking about, you know, not drawing too many parallels to other sources, but again, I feel like what makes Banana compelling is kind of similar to why I really liked Sayaka and Madoka Magica again, because it's kind of like the downfall from what one could consider at the beginning, like air quote, selflessness. But thankfully, Banana had time to resolve her shit. So
she did. And like, and her ideals at the end are not necessarily changed. They're just
healthier?
Put in a new light.
Put in a new light, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I have another mini rant?
You can.
Please.
Can I have one?
Yeah.
Okay. So, one of the things that I wasn't sold on, and I completely agreed with Cammy on at first, and now that I've had time to think about it, I think is really integral, and one of the main reasons why I love Hikari and Kaden by the end is the promise they keep shoving you in your face.
Yeah.
And here's why. So, Kaden is a reflection, because like their promise is the reason why they want to pursue theater. It could have been anything, but they needed to have a reason to pursue theater.
Yeah.
Kaden is a representation of where a lot of people end up, where they go to chase their dream, but they get too caught up in the norm and they don't actually continue to pursue it. Hikari is a representation of when you try too fucking hard and you lose your sense of self almost to the point that it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
And both those ideals revolve around this one central promise that these two made as children. That could have been anybody in the cast, and it still would have worked. The reason why it works so well with those two is at the very end, Kaden is the one who's able to, once she realizes what she did wrong, fix the situation for both of them, where Hikari, learning of the problems that resulted from her situation, tried to make a situation of self-sacrifice and selflessness as well, when at the end it just came down to, We just really need to love each other and love theater.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that shit.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Like, and I'm glad again that you could take so much out of it and express it for me to understand it. Like,
I mean, no, that's just my interpretation of it. But, like, I didn't really get it until, like, or my version of it, because everybody can interpret this differently.
Yeah.
But, like, I didn't get to that point until, like, episode 11 or, and until I had time to think about it, too. Because, like, I talked to you about this, like, a day or two ago.
yeah.
And was, like, completely in your camp of, I don't really get Kanan and their promise is kind of annoying.
I think for me, yeah, like, I can understand the symbolism of it and what makes it so powerful. I guess I wish it was expressed in a different way than just always saying, don't forget our promise.
That's fair.
I think that the other part that hit me like a truck, too, is when Kaden finally decides to change the ending.
Yeah.
There's a Tokyo Tower that comes across and connects their two different stances, or in my idea, in my crazy, weird, I want to write a college thesis on this stupid moment. What connects their two different ideologies in regards to theater, and what connects them to bring them together and start a new journey or promise or ending together is that Tokyo Tower that brought them together in the first place and is now bringing them together in the end. And as she's walking across the Tokyo Tower, there are those little miniature Tokyo Tower lights that are leading her over. And I'm like, I get it. This is so cool. Oh,
Damn.
I love that.
Damn, honey, you could seriously write a paper on this fucking show.
I really could, and that's why I love it so much, because there's just so much little tiny things that there's no way those are just coincidence. Maybe I'm thinking about it too much.
You're going full Zach brain on this show right now.
It's really good. It's a really good show. But yes,
I appreciate it.
I just wanted a moment to have my thesis talk. Now we can talk about other spoilers. I apologize.
No,
No. Do not apologize for brilliance.
No,
don't apologize. There is actually one thing I want to bring up about the promise, actually. And it's on Hikari's side. After we got her backstory, the whole thing that happened in London with Hikari, one point, maybe I interpreted slightly wrong or like didn't catch something right. But when she did lose the review in London, and she lost everything, I took it as like she also completely forgot the promise she made with Karen herself, and then had that flicker memory that did remind her, and then she was beating herself up over the fact that at that point she did forget the promise, and that's why she kept on, and that's why she assumed Karen had also forgot the promise. Assumed wrongly, but then, and that's why she was beating herself up over forgetting the promise, and why she was like so relieved that Karen didn't. And it also kind of like was a mini jab at the heart every time they did say, don't forget our promise to each other, and it was like, because I always interpret it's like she's saying that because she did.
I don't think Hikari ever forgot. I think that she got so tied up in wanting to become a top star.
Yeah.
She forgot the reason why, but she didn't really like forget does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of more what I was like, didn't completely forget it. It just slipped her mind at that point.
It's just she forgot her initial motivation.
And Kaden did too,
Yeah.
because they're like two sides of the exact same coin, where Hikari pushed too far and Kaden didn't push enough.
Yeah.
So I think that I agree with you fundamentally. I don't think that you're wrong.
Yeah.
I think, and there's no wrong interpretation of stuff like this, because they don't necessarily exactly tell you.
Yeah.
So
no,
you technically cannot be wrong. I feel like there were other spoilers I wanted to talk about, but I also don't want to keep us here too late and run the episode into the ground, and also keep Cammy up because she's got a class tomorrow. So does anybody have any other spoilers that they they want to talk about? Cammy, you especially, because I feel like you haven't got a chance to really take the spotlight.
Oh, no, it's okay. I love...
Express your starlight.
Oh, God. Oh, man. So
Show your
good.
shine.
Show your shine, girl. Girl, this show makes you shine so much, and it makes me so
It does.
happy. Like, it's really awesome. Yeah. Nah. I'm pretty much just like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I think that the only other thing that I really wanted to talk about that was even slightly spoilery, and this is really short, is that I loved how each review showed not just what drove each girl, but also their insecurities reflected in completely unique ways. I loved that Juno's was all mirrors. I loved that there were mannequins. I loved all that shit. I love that she shot her own reflection like 6 times.
Yes.
And to be fair, like I just want more time with these characters, which is why if and when the stupid fucking phone game comes over, I'm gonna lose my goddamn mind and my wallet. But the level of uniqueness that this show took time to do is just ridiculously good, and I could talk about it all day. But do you have any other spoilers?
No. I think we just about covered everything that I wanted to talk about specifically, so.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So I guess we can close it out there.
I suppose so.
So yeah, that has been Annie Chatbox, episode 98, with our review of Revue Starlight. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next time.
Listen me!
Bye-bye.
Ciao. I was trying to remember how to say goodbye in French, and I can't get it.
Ciao!
Adieu.
Adieu. Adieu! That's what it is.
Wakarimasu.